January 16th, 1945, Berlin. The Führerbunker. The air is stale, thick with the smell of damp concrete and defeat. Maps cover walls that tremble with the rhythm of distant explosions. Red arrows, representing Soviet forces, now dominate the east, thick, aggressive, unstoppable. In contrast, the thin blue lines marking German positions are a fragile fantasy, many of them already erased by reality. A general clears his throat, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence. Hitler doesn't look up from the map. He already knows what's coming. This is the anatomy of collapse. Not a sudden, dramatic surrender, not a public confession of defeat. It's the slow, agonizing process of control slipping away, hour by hour, day by day. On the Eastern Front, the Soviet Vistula offensive has just erupted, a tidal wave of steel and manpower. Entire German defensive lines, once thought impenetrable, disintegrate in a matter of days. Cities that were ordered to hold out for weeks are overrun in mere hours. The frozen roads westward are clogged with a human river of refugees, dragging their children and what few possessions they can carry through the snow, all under the constant threat of artillery fire. German military units begin to retreat without orders, or with orders that arrive far too late to matter. You can almost see the seams of the war machine tearing apart. The rigid command structure that defines the German military starts to fracture. Communication lines break down, plunging units into isolation. Army groups stop coordinating with each other. Out in the field, commanders are forced to make independent decisions, not out of rebellion, but out of sheer necessity. Hold this position, withdraw from that one. Abandon priceless equipment. Save what men you can. The once mighty German army is no longer maneuvering with strategic purpose. It's simply reacting, scrambling to survive the relentless onslaught. Meanwhile, in the west, the failure of the Ardennes offensive of the Battle of the Bulge has left deep, unhealable scars. The last of Germany's strategic reserves are gone. Elite formations, the pride of the Wehrmacht, are shattered remnants of their former selves. Fuel stocks are critically low, immobilizing what's left of the armored divisions. Seizing the advantage, the Allies resume their methodical advance with grim precision. They cross rivers, clear cities, and push relentlessly toward the Rhine, Germany's last major natural barrier in the west. The German defenses no longer resemble a solid line. They are mere patches, isolated pockets of resistance, and patches can't stop a flood. Back on the home front, the collapse permeates every aspect of civilian life. Major cities are vast landscapes of rubble, their skylines defined by skeletal ruins. The rail network, vital for moving troops and supplies, is in chaos, constantly targeted by Allied bombers. Food shortages grow more severe by the day, leading to widespread hunger. The regime's last desperate measure, the Volksstürmer militia of old men and young boys, is thrown into the meat grinder of combat. They are sent to face battle-hardened veterans with little training and obsolete, often single-shot weapons. The official propaganda machine still broadcasts myths of total resistance and miracle weapons, but reality intrudes at every turn. In the bombed-out streets and breadlines, no one truly believes victory is possible anymore. The question has fundamentally changed. It's no longer if they will lose, but how bad will the end be. German generals now find themselves fighting two desperate wars simultaneously. One is against the advancing Allied and Soviet armies. The other is a war against time itself. They try to negotiate local surrenders to save historic cities from complete annihilation. They quietly maneuver their units westward, not for any strategic gain, but in the desperate hope of surrendering to the Western Allies and avoiding capture by the Soviets. These are no longer strategic choices. They are profoundly human ones, born from the desire to mitigate the inevitable disaster. Yet, in the Führerbunker, the charade continues. Maps are still updated with phantom units. Orders are still issued for grand counterattacks that cannot possibly be launched. Hitler demands that divisions that no longer exist hold positions that have already been lost. In this subterranean world, reality is bent until it finally snaps. The disconnect between the orders given in Berlin and the brutal reality on the front lines becomes a vast, unbridgeable chasm. By February, the Soviets have crossed the Oder River, the last major obstacle before Berlin. The capital itself is now within artillery range. A German officer later recalled a moment of shocking clarity while standing over a map. He realized there was nowhere left to retreat. There was no prepared line behind the current line. There was no reserve force behind the frontline troops. There was just empty space on the map, and enemies pouring in to fill it. The collapse is no longer a theoretical threat. It is a visible, accelerating reality. Cities fall in a relentless sequence. Breslau is surrounded and besieged. The ancient Prussian capital of Kingsburg is cut off. Vienna, the jewel of the old empire, trembles as Soviet forces approach its gates. The Third Reich is shrinking, not through negotiation or treaty, but by the raw application of force. Every single day brings another loss, another red arrow pushing deeper into Germany, another unit falling silent on the radio. And yet, the fighting continues with ferocious intensity. Not because anyone believes in victory, that illusion has long since vanished. The fighting goes on because stopping seems impossible. The vast, complex machinery of war, once set in motion, grinds on with its own terrifying momentum, even as the state that created it crumbles into dust. Soldiers fight because they are ordered to, because their comrades are fighting, or simply because there is nothing else to do. This is the final, heartbreaking tragedy of the war in Europe. Germany is no longer a nation choosing its own fate. It is simply being carried along by the currents of war toward its inevitable conclusion. In the bunkers and headquarters, from the highest generals to the lowest staff officers, the realization hardens into certainty. The war is not ending with a single, decisive blow. It is ending with a total systemic collapse, layer by layer, front by front, system by system. The army, the government, the economy, the very fabric of society are all coming apart at once. And beyond the smoke, the ruins, and the deafening noise of battle, one final stage waits. No maneuver, no escape, no alternative, only the end. Thank you for watching. If you found this look into the final moments of the Third Reich compelling, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into history. We'll see you next time.